So, good afternoon, dear friends. This is a video on bioorganic chemistry. So, bioorganic chemistry is a broad field of organic chemistry. We deal with biomolecules. So, what is this term bioorganic chemistry? So, it's mainly the organic chemistry that is going to deal with biomolecules. So we can give examples such as amino acids and carbohydrates. Two examples would be of very deep importance under this title. So we will today look at carbohydrates. So this particular video is only meant for private circulation among Sacred Heart College students, and that is maybe allied students and third year students. So we'll go into the contents of the presentation. Um, so what is the need for these bioorganic compounds? So what are bioorganic? So bioorganic compounds are basically those molecules that control life processes. That's what we can say. They are compounds that can be found in living systems. The earlier definition of carbohydrates or proteins that we spoke about. On the other side, we have to look at the definition for organic chemistry in itself. So we said that all those molecules that have life are called as organic chemistry. But as time evolved, the definition for organic chemistry also evolved. So what we redefined organic chemistry as is the reactivity of molecules that have a majority of carbon in them. And then now we come to a branch of that organic chemistry where the chemistry that is dedicated to biomolecules alone. So as we have explained, what is bioorganic chemistry and what are biomolecules. So biomolecules are those molecules that control living processes, as said. So we look at carbohydrates at first. So we will discuss carbohydrates. So here we will not be discussing biomolecules. So we'll be discussing carbohydrates alone, and we'll be looking at the chemistry behind carbohydrates. So for you to know, carbohydrates, they are the most abundant of organic compounds that exist in the world, actually, basically. Whether you're going to take the human body, or whether you're going to take plants, for instance, or whether you're going to take animals, for instance, they make up most of the structure of cells for plants, and also for most of the the DNA is being constructed with um, carbohydrates, deoxyribose sugar. So that also you have carbohydrates involved. So what's so important about these bioorganic compounds that we need to know? Firstly, when we look at bioorganic molecules, they look very complex. For instance, if you look at the right side of your screen, you see the structure of DNA. So the structure looks very complex. But why is there such a complex structure? So nature has a very complex structure because it has most of its processes carried out through molecular recognition. For instance, if we take the case of your taste buds, they are based on the stereochemistry of the crevices in your tongue. So molecules fall into those crevices, and those that fit into those crevices give you the taste. So molecular recognition is the prime means by which life processes occur in the case of nature. So nature has molecular recognition in it. For instance, the first thing that you see in the case of biomolecules is the sperm being attracted towards the egg where life is being born. So when the sperm looks for the egg, it is the carbohydrates that are on the surface of the egg that attract the sperm towards it. So although we are talking about very complex molecules, like DNA, RNA, and the sugar structures in them, the chemistry behind these molecules is going to be rather very simple. You know why? Because the chemistry that is happening in simple molecules of organic chemistry is the same chemistry that is happening in those very big bioorganic molecules. So there's no need to be any sort of fear in ourselves. So we call these bioorganic reactions as reactions that are happening in the cells, which are the tiny chemical reaction flasks. Now, we come into the definition of carbohydrates. So, why does this term carbohydrates come into play? Carbohydrates, basically, we call them as carbohydrates because earlier scientists felt that they were hydrates of carbon. So, hydrates of carbon in the sense, you're going to take case of, glucose, for instance. So, glucose, for instance, it is C6H2. So, C6, you have C6H12O6, isn't it? So, you have C6H12O6 in the case. So, C6H12O6 can be, taken out. So C6 can be taken out. So H2O 6 times. So C6H2O6, so C6H12O6 can be represented as C6H2O outside in brackets. You can mention 6 times. So 6 into 2, 12. So C6 it becomes, so H becomes 12 and O becomes 6. So C6, 6 times hydrated carbon is called as glucose. That's what we say. So this was the earlier name that was given to, carbohydrate, but later scientists came out of the fact that the hydrates of carbon cannot be called, as carbohydrates. So, but however, the name still persists. Okay. Now, so how do you define carbohydrates? So carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxy ketones are compounds formed by linking these molecules together. So you can link either a polyhydroxyaldehyde with a polyhydroxyaldehyde, or you link a polyhydroxy ketone with a polyhydroxyaldehyde, or you link a polyhydroxyaldehyde with a polyhydroxy ketone. So either of these combinations, if they are linked together, and they can also have multiple molecules in them. So when there are simply polyhydroxyaldehydes or simply polyhydroxy ketones, a molecules formed by combination of these molecules, they are all called as carbohydrates. So when you look at the next slide, you can see this. So this is your D glucose on the right side of your screen. So you can see the right side of your screen here, sorry, the left side of the screen here, and there's a D-glucose here. So you're having polyhydroxy groups here, and you're having an aldehyde group. So we're going to look at the next case. So this is a polyhydroxy aldehyde. We're going to take a look at the next case, D-fructose. So this is a polyhydroxy ketone here. You see a keto group here. So this is a polyhydroxy ketone. So this is the normal structure of your D-glucose. So it can be written in a cyclic structure. So this is a means of which you will be able to write it in a cyclic structure. We'll be dealing that in the later session. So this is an example of your ribose. So this is a cyclic structure that has been converted. So the riboform, which is like, the chain form of the ribose has been written in its. So why we come here is that here you have two molecules. So this is glucose here. You can see that alpha linkage at glucose, beta linkage at fructose. So you can see that there is a molecule of glucose that is a polyhydroxyaldehyde has been linked with a polyhydroxy ketone, beta linkage at fructose. So a combination of a polyhydroxyaldehyde and a polyhydroxy ketone is also a sugar and it is called as sucrose. Next case here, if you're going to look at things here, you have a D-galactose molecule here and you have a D-glucose molecule here. So a combination of a D-galactose molecule and D-glucose molecule has resulted in the formation of a lactose. Okay, so sorry, result in the formation of a lactose. So when we define carbohydrates, we define them as polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones or molecules that are being formed in combination of polyhydroxyaldehydes and polyhydroxyketones. So we'll stop here. Thank you for your kind listening.